Welcome back, everybody. We have some big news to talk about today. RFK Jr. has endorsed Donald J. Trump for president. How will it affect the race? We will get right to it. But first of all, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please like, please comment. Let me know what you think. We're going to be here every day until Election Day and beyond. Okay, let's first of all take a look at the poly market odds for this election. We do this every single day. You would think after the convention that Kamala would get a bit of a boost. Now, to remind you, these are not scientific polls. This is not a scientific poll. This is not a poll at all, other than it being a poll of where the money is flowing. And right now, the money is flowing to Trump, 51-48. It's still close, but last night it was even closer, and Trump has widened that gap, surprisingly, after Kamala Harris's speech last night. So the close to the convention has not brought her a bump in the betting odds, but we will see if it brings her a bump in the polling data in the days and weeks to come. But that's what it looks like right now for the betting odds. Let's shift now to an NBC article because we want to know what is the effect of this endorsement. Some people are saying this is a game changer, and other people are saying this means nothing at all. So let's look at an NBC News article. This is a kind of an old article, actually, but it does a good job of breaking down RFK support. This article is it's from August. It's a couple days ago, 2 days ago. The third-party vote has gotten smaller since Biden's exit. In the New York Times Siena College battleground polling of Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and North Carolina, Kennedy's combined share of the multi-candidate vote was just 4%, with the same percentage of Harris, 3%, and Trump, 3% backers supporting him. So if we want to know how the RFK Jr. vote is divvied up, it's basically even, 3% for Harris, 3% for Trump. So we can assume that each will gain about the same amount. But that isn't always the way things work. Some people think that because RFK is Jr. is a Democrat, that he is going to, a lot of his support is going to go to Harris naturally. There are other people who think because RFK Jr. was sort of an anti-establishment candidate, and you really get that when you watch his speech today or his press conference today, that a lot of his support will go to Trump. That remains to be seen. But those saying this is a game changer, I'm not really sure if that's the case. We're going to see. We're going to see if the polls change at all. But when you have a candidate who has 3% support, it's not that big of a difference. But something to keep in mind, and I'm not going to pull up the clip right now because I don't want to, get into any sort of copyright violations. But there is a clip of John King talking about this, and he on CNN, and he makes a very good point, which is that the third-party candidate has kind of been a real boost to Trump. In 2016, Jill Stein got 2 or 3% of the vote. In some states, she got 1% of the vote. But if you remember, that was the margin in a lot of these votes in a lot of these states. So, and the difference between 2016 and 2020 is in 2020, there really was no third-party candidate or third-party support. This time around, there is. Now that candidate has dropped out. Jill Stein is still in the race. So is Cornel West, but those are very, very minor factors. The big factor was RFK Jr., and now he has dropped out. And naturally, you'd think, well, the major third-party candidate has dropped out, and that means that's going to hurt Donald Trump, but not if a lot of his support goes over to Trump. So it remains to be seen. But from what we know, it's about evenly split from polling data, at least this New York Times polling data. Let's go over to the Silver Bulletin because I like to check this every single day to see what's going on and in the swing states. Right now, nationally, Kamala Harris, 46.9, Donald Trump, 44.4. So she's got about a 2-point lead. I want everyone to keep in mind, just because she has a 2-point lead does not mean she will win the election. Even if the polling data is dead on and the result is 46.9 for Harris, 44.4 for Trump, that actually points more to a Trump victory, because in order to win the Electoral College, usually the Democrats need to get at least 3% of a lead. Biden won by 3%. Hillary won the popular vote by 2%, and that simply was not enough. So let's go through the swing states and let's take a look at the change. Now, this shows sort of the exact same thing I was just talking about with Kennedy's support, but this is broken down for each swing state. So look, Pennsylvania, Kennedy almost had 4%. Michigan, 4.4%. Nevada, 4.5%, Virginia, 5%. These are states where the margins are very tight, and any support that goes from Kennedy to Trump or Kennedy to Harris could be a real game changer. This is very interesting. Let's go over here to month change and week change. Month change, that's showing us the effects from Biden dropping out and Harris becoming the candidate. And look at these numbers. Look at how much she has helped the ticket in the last month. But what I'm more interested to look at right now, since we've already looked at the data on the right in previous videos, is the week change. The week change, Trump seems to be sort of clawing back some of the support he lost. Now, North Carolina, she gained 1, but that was the only state where she gained. Now, these are very, very modest gains, 0.8, 0.8, 0.5, 0.2, 0.1 in some cases. In Pennsylvania, he's gained by 1, so it's 46-45 basically now if you round up the 44.9 for Trump. So we have a very close race, and Trump seems to be clawing back some of the ground that he lost when he was leading by 4, 5, 6 points against Biden in the final weeks before he dropped out of the race. Now that Biden's out of the race, we have a much, much closer race. So that's where things stand right now. Will Trump be helped by this? Will Harris be helped by this? We can't really tell right away. This just happened today, so it's hard to really gauge how things are going to go. We'll keep an eye on the polling every single day. We'll keep an eye on the betting markets every single day. If there's going to be a bump for Harris post-convention in the polling, that will likely happen mid next week, late next week, early the week after. A lot of these polls are just being put in the field now. I'm sure there was a lot that were put in the field last night. We're going into the weekend now, so there will probably be a lot of polling put into the field on Monday, and then it'll probably be published Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or around there. So you'll see if there is a significant bump. My prediction is there will be a bump. I know this runs contrary to a lot of what right-wing Twitter is saying, but it is my prediction. To the extent that I'm going to add my personal commentary into this, this is not what I support or what I endorse, but I do believe that the speech last night probably played pretty well with a lot of low information voters, with a lot of kind of apolitical voters. And when I say low information voters, I not necessarily as an insult. I mean, if I were to give a commentary stream, I would get into what I really thought about these things, which I will probably do in the future. But for now, let's just say there are a lot of people who aren't really locked in to politics the way you are and I are, and a lot of people are on X and other places, and following, Nate Silver's Silver Bulletin blog. A lot of people just now are starting to think about the election, just starting to think about it. And the rule of thumb is that come Labor Day, people really start to get engaged and start to try and think about who they're going to support. So once you start to see polling data into September, we'll have a much, much better idea of where things are going. Again, we have to be very careful with the polling data. One thing I warn about is that Trump is notoriously underpolled. So meaning anytime I see a poll with Trump at a certain number, I always tack on 2 to the number, because I think he always outperforms his polling data. But another warning is that recently Democrats have also been outpolling their data. Think back to 2022 when we were predicting a red wave. Democrats did far better than the polling suggested. So we are in for a very interesting race. Please keep your eyes on my channel here and subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Whatever you want, say it in the comments. Please support the channel. I will be here every day. I'm trying to update it every single day as the new data flows in. And it is flowing in every single day. It's flowing in every single second, especially when it comes to the betting odds. And there's lots of polls out there, more polls than ever. I try and go to places where I know there's a real unbiased opinion. I know a lot of people aren't going to like that I'm going to Nate Silver's website, but the fact of the matter remains that Nate Silver includes many different polls in his polling average. He includes the Trafalgar Group, which is Robert Cahaley's outfit, which tends to be a little bit more favorable to Trump, but it also tends to be pretty accurate. He includes Rasmussen. He includes every poll, every reputable poll. Some have, sometimes you think they have a left-leaning bias. Some have a right-leaning bias. The point is, I trust Nate Silver. Was he wrong in 2016? Yeah, but he was not as wrong as most people were. He was very close. He was the one who gave Trump a 30-something% chance of winning. The New York Times gave him a 1% chance of winning. He got 2008 exactly right. He got 2012 exactly right. He was very good in 2020. So regardless of what these pollsters think independently about politics and who they vote for, we have to look at the data. We cannot be blinded by people who are trying to mislead us. At this channel, I am trying to give you these straight facts. I'm doing my very best to tell you what is going on in the race, whether we like it or not. So once again, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you already have. Thank you for all the support. I will continue to post once again every single day, all the way up to election day and beyond. So thank you, and we will see you tomorrow.